All right, so uh, and three, two, one. Hey, welcome everybody to the very first episode of Dropped in the World. I'm Nathan Houston, the author of Dropped in the World: The Young Adult's Guide to Navigating Life, and I am going to start doing some reading about my book, reading of my book, because I need to get it out there. People need to hear it, so that's what I'm going to do. It's been quite the adventure. And thanks for joining the very first episode to introduce myself, introduce the book. I'm going to start with the introduction. If you feel anything that you like, go ahead and make a comment about it. Any questions you have, make a comment, and I'll get back to you. And I'll just keep going with this. It's the very first episode. I'm going live to start with, and we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So, again, my book is Dropped in the World: A Young Adult's Guide to Navigating Life. And I'm going to tell you in the introduction why I kind of just decided to start to write this book. And then we'll go through the introduction, and we'll just keep going through there. If nothing else, just be me practicing reading my book. All right, so let's start off with the introduction. In February of 2009, I did something I had never in my life planned to do. It was a year after the market crash, and I had just lost my startup trucking company. It was an exceptionally low point in my life, as I'm sure it was for a lot of Americans. Back in 2009 was when the market crashed, the housing market crashed, the price of diesel was cheaper than gasoline, and then it just flipped on its head. A lot of things were going on, so a lot of people were suffering, and I was one of the people that suffered through it. So, where was I? I had to make some decisions on how I could move out of my dad's basement and get back on the path of success. I wrote out my options and prayed over them, and weeks later I started basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. While basic training taught me a lot of soldiering skills, the one skill I did not fully grasp was land navigation. So, while I'm doing this, I remember I wanted to tell you who I am before I even started reading the introduction, and who I am, like pretty much why listen to me. Why write a book? Why would I have anybody listen to me? Why would I write a book and want people to read it? It's because my life has been taking me through some ins and outs, and the things that I've done, the things that I've seen, the experiences that I had, been able to work through them, and then my time in the military, as I just read, and went all the way up to retire as a Chief Warrant Officer too. Had mentored, trained soldiers in schoolhouses as an instructor, trained soldiers in the field, deployed to Iraq, deployed to Afghanistan, led soldiers through that, and then went all the way back after retirement to go back to school to be a 8th grade physical science teacher. My major is biology in secondary education, but I wrote this book because I feel like people need it. People need it. People feel like right now, and as times are coming, that we feel like once we get out of high school or even further in our lives, where we just feel like we just got dropped in the world, and now what do? So I wrote this book. I'll tell you a little bit more about how it came about as I get through the story. All right, so just work with me. So it says, while basic training taught me a lot of soldiering skills, the one skill I did not fully grasp was land navigation. If I were dropped in the middle of a wilderness with a map and a compass, I might have made it to the edge of the wilderness, but I couldn't tell you where in the world I was. One time I was driving through a field site, and I was driving, and I knew where I was coming from, but where I was trying to get to did not work. It was not. I was lost for a while, and then finally just found another road, got back on it, and finally made it back to the garrison. But I knew where I was, and I knew how to move, but not how to get to where I wanted to be. All right. I prided myself on being self-aware, so in recognizing land navigation was not my strength, I made sure to stay away from getting lost. I decided to shine in other areas of soldiering and leadership. I was proficient at marksmanship and excellent at job knowledge. I knew my job. I maintained a high level of physical fitness, and I was always in front of the formation. If there was a ruck march, I was somewhere in the front. If there was a class to give, I would be in the front teaching it. I became a leader that always had a cadence to call. But whenever we got to training and navigating land, I was as quiet as a mouse. You ever have that time where you know what you're good at, and you do that well, and then you just kind of like hope that when it's not something you're strong in, you just hope sit back and nobody notice you. That's what I did, and it was successful. All right, avoiding land navigation was a trend that worked for me for 8 years, and if it were up to me, I would have avoided land navigation for the entire 20 years of my military career. But as fate would have it, I was selected to become a warrant officer in my 8th year of service. So warrant officers are the specialists of in the Army, as in a specialist on a specific area of combat and how we accomplish the mission. And I was a fuel warrant officer. You could equate it to a PhD. So a PhD has a degree in philosophy, doctrine and philosophy of a specific area. So I was a military doctrine and philosophy of petroleum operations. All right. So becoming a warrant officer candidate was a great honor because only soldiers who were the most professional and knowledgeable in that craft were selected. So much so that on my first attempt at being selected, I was deemed qualified but not selected. Meaning I had all the qualifications, I had the experience, and I had everything that would look well on that application, that packet that went through. But there just happened to be some people that maybe had a couple more things than me, a couple more years than me of experience. That they said, hey, you got all the marks, but you're not selected, and that's usually because they only going to select 5 people this time, and I was number 6. So that's what happened. But I didn't get low on myself. I recognized that, hey, that when you understand how the system works, you can understand if you don't get there, then it's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't have what it takes. It's just because sometimes a system is set up to only select 5 people at a time, only select 3 people at a time, and it's based on need. So I understood that. The warrant officer candidate school, more importantly, the land navigation test was the only thing that stood in my way from becoming the coveted quiet professional. So I have realized that I've got everything it takes. I got the physical fitness. I've got the know-how, the knowledge of my actual philosophy, as you call it, if you're talking about civilian. But the one thing that I needed to get good at was land navigation, and that was because it was required for the school. So you don't pass land navigation, it doesn't matter how much you know, how much you're capable of doing things everywhere else. That one piece you fail, you don't make it. At this point, it was no longer advantageous for me to avoid putting forth the effort. I had to learn how to navigate terrain on foot without a GPS. At the time, I was stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia, a base that for the most part is heavily focused on training soldiers and their military occupational specialties, their MOS. It was a blessing when I learned that the man who controlled the land navigation training area was a retired infantry soldier. For weeks, I went to him to get training, and he would drive me and others who were preparing for school into the middle of the woods and leave us to find the points to which he had just given us coordinates to. Every week, I got a little better at land nav and got lost a little less. At this point, it was very important, and I will talk about more in the book, but having the wherewithal to say, you know what, I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at this, and I need to find someone that can teach me, because it is key to my success for me to find and learn how to do this. And I recognize that and executed on it. A lot of times we'll know what we're not good at and know that something is what we need to figure out or to learn in order to be successful, but we won't take the next steps and effort to find a way to learn it, find someone to learn it from, or find a way, a book to read, or a YouTube video to watch, or whatever it might be that we really need to learn, but we don't put forth the effort. And that is how so many of us fail, because we are not perfect. We don't come into this world knowing everything, but we do know how to find it if we really put forth the effort. And that is what fails us so much. If I just have to go find it. Go find it. Go find what you need to be successful. Because nobody's gonna just walk up to you and say, "Hey, you might need this, and you should do this, and you should listen to me." Because why would they want you? Why would they find you if they're already successful? So I found someone that was able to help me and teach me, and help me learn everything I need to know in order to be successful and move on to the next step. So all the practice, sweating, and mosquitoes I experienced, and that consistent training paid off. There was a lot of mosquitoes. Definitely a lot of mosquitoes. One guy had one of those mosquito nets over his head as he was going through the training site. It was really funny. But I just suffered through it. So that's what I do most of the time. Just suffer through it. You get through it eventually, right? So consistency training paid off, and soon after I graduated from the Warrant Officers Candidate School. But the skills I learned during the training turned out to be much more important than just finding my way around the woods. As I began to understand the practices, tips, and tricks, I came to realize that a vast majority of what I was learning had been the same practices that I've used in life. My journey to success is far from over. I'm still navigating through the forest of life, but I imagine that if I could share with you the tools I've learned along the way, then you might better understand how to navigate life as well. If you're already successful navigating life, then I hope that one or two of these practices might be something that you can add to your rucksack, as we say in the Army. Finally, before you continue, I have intentionally slid some words into this book that you may not use daily, in the hopes that you will stretch your mind and consistently seek to improve on your own vocabulary. Any word that is unfamiliar, Google it. To better understand, add to your satchel, and grow. So I came up with this book actually while I was in the secondary phase of Warrant Officers School, after the candidate school, where they actually, I went through the school and learned and became a professional and became selected and assessed to warrant officer. But I was talking with a friend of mine who was also a warrant officer. I call him Stewie. All right, Stewie. So as warrant officers, we train and lead soldiers, and we teach soldiers how to be the best they can be. Sometimes, especially as instructors, I did that a lot. I always put my soldiers to the side and got one-on-one with them or as a group and gave it to them straight. I've always been a give it to you straight person. So I was talking about some training to Stewie about how soldiers could learn through the skills of navigating life, through land navigation, on how to navigate through life. And I was pointing out the things that I'm going to point out in this book, and I was going down a list of, they could use this through following the compass, and this through learning how to use the map, and this through learning known points and locations, and how to not figure out where they are, and how to move forward, how to set goals, this and this. And Stewie said, "Nate, that's good. It's good training, but that does not just sound like a training session. That sounds like a whole book." And I looked at him and I was like, I guess you're right. And that was back in 2017. I think it was 2017, 2018. And as I came towards the end of my career and retiring as a warrant officer, I started writing a book. But I also started writing a book and going back to college to be a school teacher and teaching science. I love science because I don't just teach science, I teach life through science, because there's so many things about science that we use in life that I just love playing with and showing students and all of that, but everything else to me is just boring. So I decided to start writing this book. So that's what I did. I started writing the book. I published the book in March of 2025, and that is where we are right now. A couple of months later, on January 4th of 2026. And look, I hope this introduction has helped you to know a little bit about me, know a little about the book dropped in the world. I would love if you would go online and purchase it from Amazon. Dropped in the world, a young adult guide to navigating life, or you can go to defynedenterprise.com and purchase it as well. DEFYNED nationenterprise.com. Purchase it, and I'll send it to you. I'll even sign a copy for you. And we're going to be going through this book pretty much through the rest of the year as we get this year going. Like I said, if you have a question about anything I'm saying, drop it in the comments. Anything about military, anything about life, and you'll see some more about how I've gone through life, experienced things, and I want to give you my perspective. So pretty much, I feel like if God is giving you something that you can use to His glory, it would be robbery not to give it to His people. And so when I was writing a book, when I thought about when Stewie told me you should write it, it's actually a book. It made me feel like, okay, if he says it's a book and I trust his opinion, and I think I have the capabilities to write it, then that means God wants me to write it. He gives us all our own gifts and skills, and He gives me the ability to see and have a perspective on life and how to walk through life. So, hey, why not give it back? The book is only like $15. It's less than a McDonald's meal if you had a apple pie in there. So go ahead and get it. If not, just tune in to the channel continuously, and we'll keep reading through it. I'm gonna keep giving you the book as well as how things have come, how I understand it, and maybe it'll help you out. Again, I'm not a person that knows everything, but I knew enough to write a book. And I still have soldiers calling me for advice on, hey, Chief, what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to this. I'm coming up on re-enlistment. What do you think? Should I stay in? Should I get out? Should I go do this? Should I go do that? I was a career counselor, not a career counselor, but I was a re-enlistment NCO. So I would talk to soldiers all the time about, okay, you want to get out. So what's your plan? What's your steps? Have you considered this? Have you considered that? And then some of them made the choice, stay in. Some of them made the choice to get out. Some of them made the choice, oh, okay, I'm going to stay in for one more year, and I'm going to get out, but I'm going to take these steps in order to prepare myself. Everything in life has steps, and I'll talk about that more in the book. But I think I've taken up enough of your time, and yeah. I am Nathan Houston. This is Dropped in the World, a young adult's guide to navigating life, and hope to be talking to you throughout the rest of 2026. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed evening. And let's get this week started.